Oh,
right
dang. We
away.
just went for it?
We're raw dogging today. That's what we're doing, Marco.
And two
Um,
minutes early? Wow. Look
yeah,
at
well,
that.
we kind of have a little something to do, you know.
Yeah, we're the prepared
Um,
pals.
yeah, the two we're not I'm not running in Puerto Rican time today. That's for sure. Yeah. Hello
Spanish
everyone.
time.
Hello. It's I'll give it a minute. I'll give it a minute, and then I'll edit this later.
Some
Um,
people walk in.
yeah, and I want to get this open on our end.
Yeah, same. Damn, Tyler, you didn't even give me a chance to open this shit up.
Too slow.
I am excited for the books today, actually.
Okay, cool. All right.
You good?
Let's just jump right into it, right? Hello, everyone. Anyone who's in the live chat. I don't even know if anyone is yet, but hello. It is I, Tyler. I'm back. I'm back from walkabout. As my cat just wants to rub his face all over my microphone. So that definitely just ruins the shock mount that I have up. Hey, buddy. So yeah, hello. I'm back, and I'm back to talk about comics because this is Pals Pulls. This is our Thursday show where we usually four of us. Right now,
Usually.
just two. Talk
The
about
good two.
the newest books this week in comics. Um, we got five books this week. Usually it's four, but this week we did five. We figured we got half the mouths to feed here, so we can maybe squeeze in one more. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Half the miles, but twice the content.
Sure. Thought you were gonna go somewhere else with that one,
All
but
right.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you didn't. But where I figured before we start the show, I just want to make sure everyone knows about the Patreon. So that's patreon.com/the comics pals, where you can subscribe to help us out. You get some cool stuff on there. We got a palling around that we do like a separate podcast on there. Do our newsletters where we talk about uh, whatever we really want to talk about. Marco, you just put one out yesterday, was it?
That's right. I did all about poetry and
Poetry. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
my attachment to it, and so yeah, go check it out. I can talk more about it on the main show this Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. But check us out there, and yeah. But we did have five books this week, and normally when Sean's here, he can show off his physical copies and show us, the actual covers in hand. But you
Boo,
know what? Me and Marco
boo.
are some digital boys. We're not Luddites like that Sean fella.
That's right, Digger Boys. Oh, are we the Digi Destined?
I mean, my name is Ty.
Whoa, and
Yeah.
my name starts with an M, so we're halfway there.
Were there any like fictional characters you can glom onto because of the name Marco, besides like Marco Polo, who was actually not fictional? But
I don't think so, actually. Not in literature. Not in
that's a
anything,
shame.
actually.
Poetry maybe.
Probably not.
Nothing. All right. Well,
Not.
time for you to create and make your own Mary Sue. But this week we are talking about Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 6 of 7. The listener pick, the new Golden Age #1 from DC Comics. Another new #1 from DC, Wildcats.
I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one.
Okay. Yep. 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 Fantastic Four, a new #1 from Marvel, and the sixth issue of Do a Powerbomb from Image Comics, which I thought was the last issue, but it turns out it's not.
I was also convinced it was the last issue.
Yeah. So let's talk comics, Marco, and let's talk about our favorite thing to talk about for the past what 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Has it been 6 months?
6 months. This is issue number 6. Yeah,
Oof. Jeez.
it's been
It's,
that long.
the first issue came out right when I was newly single. So yeah, those months are adding up.
All
Yeah.
right.
So I keep forgetting how much I don't like this. It's it's such a mixed bag for me. So that this book is by Joshua Williamson and I had the book up here and it went away. Samper is the last name and the first name
Daniel.
is Daniel Samper. Yep. Um, I this is this is chugging along for me, dude. Like If there was any substance in this book, it's long lost it. Um,
We've been in this battle for like 3 issues at this point now, right?
yeah, for more than
Yeah.
half of the issues that we've had so far. Yeah, I
It's
feel like we've been in the same, not even in the same battle these past 3 issues, but like the same splash page, like freeze frame.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same. It's the same figures, like the same designs, and this is in uh, these are these instances in comics and superhero comics particularly where you just mash toys together, and that's where I check out. So I've been checked out for maybe the past 2 issues. I did. I was a little mixed on the way Pariah connects to all this again,
Yeah, I don't.
because
Yep.
it reminded me of some of the stuff we were reading for uh, one of our last book clubs, Blackest Night,
Yeah.
and like I saw kind of like allusions to it, and I felt like I kind of picked up on some of these things, but beyond that, this like necromancy power that Pariah has, and the way he just wields it, and then it gets stopped, but it's still happening. Like there's still a thing, and so I'm kind of confused to see where this. I'm confused, but I want to kind of understand where it's going to end up because now I'm lost. I thought he was the big bad. I thought this is the thing to stop. He gets stopped. So what are we doing now? Now are we just going to regroup?
I think the issue is that Pariah is not a compelling villain. I don't think.
Mm.
He was always more of a plot device rather than a character. Even you know what I mean? Like, oh hey Dan, Dan's in the Twitch chat there.
Dan.
Um, yeah, so like just Pariah, like his motive is so thin. You know, it's like, oh, I want to bring my world back. Okay, sure, but we never really lived there. We never really got to know it outside of like I think one tie-in issue or something like that.
Mm.
Um, and he they bring in that MacGuffin, the or it's more of a Deus Ex Machina, that protein cannon that Pariah has, and we're supposed to like, oh, I know what that is. I've read all the crises, and I still don't remember what that is. You know, like it's there's a lot that I feel like this book just thinks you should know. That it doesn't really explain. It doesn't really explain what this dark power is or who's really controlling Pariah yet. Um, yeah, it's just
There have been allusions to it, and
we're
I
six out of
think
seven in. You know.
yeah, and I feel like we should be past the fight, and I guess it looks like this energy has passed on now to Deathstroke, which has been, I think has been the proper antagonist. He's been the actual person driving this conflict between the rest of the Justice League, or these like the startup Justice League members, I guess, and it's been I'd rather see that, I think, moving forward, which I kind of like as a thing in order to be able to uh, keep the story going. But I feel like I would have wished in that case we got him from the start rather than it be Pariah controlling him, then there being something to controlling Pariah, but now this thing that is controlling Pariah moving on to Deathstroke. Like it removes a lot of the autonomy, and that's something that Sean talks about a lot about,
Yeah.
removing the autonomy from these characters. And I'm starting to feel some of that frustration because it would be cooler if this was something that Deathstroke was just after and like looking for some sort of revenge, and that feels more compelling than yes, somebody has him under his grips and is mandating this.
Yeah, and the big issue is that it's somebody has him under control. Like we don't even know who somebody is, you know.
Right, exactly.
And it feels like we won't get the reveal till the very end of issue 7, and then we'll have another crisis next year. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I feel this is going. Um, yeah, it's good looking. That much I can give it.
For sure.
Samper is killing it on this. Um, does incredible work on the very very frequent and plentiful splash pages.
Mm.
Um, but it definitely looks good. There's a definite style that he's going for. That I hate using the term house style, but it is just clean comics, and I really like that about this, especially the way he draws the Green Lantern Corps, which I think he had previously drawn for Green Lantern Corps, so maybe that might line up. But it looks really good.
For me,
Um,
the colors by Alejandro Sanchez here
yeah,
have been doing a lot of work. Like the book is bright in some instances. You still get these dark tones when you need to. There's a lot of energy. There's the moment where uh, Green Arrow is just like looking out onto one of the planets, or like
hmm,
looking back down onto Earth, and the colors there are just it's these pinks and purples, and it feels like kind of dissonant to the tone, but it works really really well. And then in the next page over, you get these like bright green and yellow flashes with Flash and what you call it, Hal, just like fist bumping, and you get these bright
yeah.
moments. Uh, I think yeah, the art continues to be stellar, continues to knock it out of the park. The colors do a lot of work here, but man, it only goes so far. You need to hook me on the story, and I haven't been for the past I don't know few issues at this point.
And we even get, like spoiler for this book, but we do get a part where multiple heroes are killed.
Hmm.
But because of the way the story's been running and working, I don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Right,
So like the actual hit of that isn't there for me.
it's not
Um,
weighty,
yeah, which I feel like issue 6 of any other crisis, like there'd be a big death, you know, either a big death or a big return. Um,
and it'd be committal.
yeah, yeah. So I don't
Right.
even know if like these guys are actually dead, and they're kind of big characters. I mean, it's like what Booster Gold and Blue Beetle,
Hmm.
and Steel, like all got wiped out in one shot. Um, and
Which that was pretty cool. Firestorm.
yeah, I mean, you can get rid of Firestorm. I'm fine with that.
Whoa, Firestorm!
Nah, I've never been a Firestorm guy.
No way.
No,
I'm
best part of
pretty.
Firestorm was in Blackest Night when he watches his girlfriend get turned to salt.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was fucked up. That was a crazy moment. Um, but but yeah, heard on that. It's you get all of these characters die in one moment, and I'm just like, all right,
yeah.
cool, it happened.
When you start the event off by killing the Justice League, but then the whole book is about how they come back. Like then none of your deaths stick. You've
Right.
delegitimized death as a story beat for your story. And when the whole book is about like the death of the multiverse, then there are no stakes. And that's been my biggest issue with this is that there's a significant lack of stakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The X Men make it work somehow, but for whatever reason, this book does not manage to make the deaths impactful in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Um, are you at least hopeful for the finale
No.
here? Like, do
No.
you think we're gonna get something answered, or do you think this is gonna lead into the next thing?
I'm hopeful that it will look good. Um,
Okay.
that's about it. That's as far as I can go. I'm
Mm,
hopeful that the costumes will be drawn nicely.
fair
Um,
enough.
it's just not been my thing at all. Um, it feels like everything I don't like about event books, minus the like if this had like a whole bunch of tie-ins at the same time, like this would be like the epitome of like what a bad event would be in my opinion. So at least it didn't plague all the other books in that way. But
And
yeah, it's just too much going on.
Dan commented here on Twitch. This whole storyline going back to Infinite Frontiers felt rudderless. I haven't hated reading it, but I feel like less than, but it's felt like less than the sum of its parts all along, and
Yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
the since this got teased out, I remember when we were reviewing the Infinite Frontier books. It started out pretty hot. It was cool, good concept. And then it started getting into these headier spaces with the multiverse, and then the was it the meta, well, not the metaverse. I'm thinking of something else.
It
What
was,
is
I believe. I
is
think it
it?
was something like that. I think so. Omniverse. It was the Omniverse. That's
Omniverse,
what it was. Yeah,
yes, the Omniverse,
yeah. Metaverse is the VR game where people don't have legs yet.
and but since then it feels like it's been meandering, and this just feels like that river has continued to flow down, and I don't know that we're gonna get to like the mouth of it yet.
This is the crisis on the meandering Earths. Yeah. Well, speaking of weird multiversal stuff, let's get into our listener pick, which was the new Golden Age #1. This one by I can we say friend of the show now?
Yeah, we have to. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, friend of the show, Jeff Johns, and a lot of artists. So I'm gonna get the list up real quick because there's pretty much a different artist for each individual thing. All right, so we got Scott Collins, Jerry Ordway, Brandon Peterson, Gary Frank, Steve Lieber shows up, Victor Bogdanovich, Diego Orletegui, Todd Nelk shows up in here with inks by Scott Hanna, J.P. Mayer, colors by Brad Anderson, some colors by John Calise, Nick Filardi on some colors, Jordan Boyd on some colors, Matt Herms on some colors, and Rob Lay on letters. Okay,
Good stuff.
that's a lot. But I didn't really understand what this issue would be going in. I knew it was like a one-shot sort of thing, kind of getting the ball rolling on the stuff Jeff Johns is doing with the JSA and Stargirl and all that. So to see this is kind of like this felt like one of those like prelude issues, to like a big event or like a Marvel does those like Timeless was the one last year where it was like a whole bunch of little stories that will be kind of seeding the things we'll see throughout the books going forward.
Which I appreciated a lot because
Yeah.
I also wasn't sure what this was going to be necessarily, but I think by having these varied storylines within this book, and it made me excited for what the next books are going to be. When I got to the end, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I need to stay tuned for just like JSA #1 because I want to see where this continues to go. This is John's bag. Like when I actually turned my attention to start reading some Jeff Johns things, the JSA was the first thing that Kale turned me onto, and I loved
Yeah.
the
Bummer
dynamics
that
there,
he's
the
not here for this,
characters.
but yeah.
The what?
When he found out this was today, he was like, "Oh, damn it, I'm not here."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is his shit. This is absolutely his shit, and it's so sad that he's not here right now. But I'm excited for it. It got me excited. It hyped me up for the rest of the books because I'm like, oh, I this felt like I'm coming back to what that was, the energy there, the dynamics, and that just reads fun to me. And if that's the case, and this is the introduction, I'm sold.
And I think it's needed too because a lot of these characters have not been used since pre 52, at least used consistently. We did get some of I forget the new Doctor Fate's name, the kid.
Oh,
He's in this
Khaled?
Khaled with Detective Chimp, who's probably been
Yeah.
out of all the characters in this, probably the only one that's been used the most. We get a little bit of we get a lot of Doctor Fate, some future one, two iterations of Kent. Back when the Justice Society first forms, and then later on. This is good. I think it's a good like, hey, let's put our pieces on the board. Here's where everyone stands, even though it's literally all over the timeline. You go from 1840s all the way to what 18 years from now, from present day.
No, to the all the way to the future, right? Because
Oh yeah, that with the female Doctor Fate, right? Like, isn't
right.
we go far.
Uh,
We go far. We go to like the Legion's era. I forget what year that
30,
is.
3022.
Yeah. Oh my god, my cat is literally just on my shoulder, just flicking me with his tail. All right, that's fun for you YouTube watchers later on.
He missed you, much
Yeah,
like
he
the
did.
pals. He missed you.
Oh, well, I don't think you'd be swishing your tail in front of me though, Marco.
Don't tempt me.
But I like this. I thought it was cool to kind of see a lot of the like Jeff Johns people show up in this, like the artists.
Yeah.
Like Brad Anderson and Gary Frank, who shows up for a page I didn't expect to actually show up in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we could just say what happens. Mime and Marionette are back. So is the kid that became Dr.
Did he have a
Manhattan.
name?
I don't know. He was just like the kid, a child, or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
We find out that there is somebody who's following in Ozymandias' footsteps, some woman, and an illusion that the new Rorschach is still around. But the best news is that Bubastis is still around as well. So like
Oh,
he's
good
even
boy.
like Johns is even saying, all right, that Doomsday Clock stuff like that happened, and I'm going to expand upon that. That's still to come.
Good, frankly.
It's Gary, frankly.
Ha ha.
Yeah,
I think one of the frustrations when we were reviewing Doomsday Clock was how it was going to integrate, and we never got that payoff. So I'm glad that Johns is coming back here to like really solidify how that story is going to end. Because I thought Doomsday's Clock was interesting. It, the landing was a little shakier than expected, but
Sure.
the stuff and ideas that he laid down, it's interesting. And so if he's going to return to that, plus tied into JSA, which was so important in the first place in
Yeah.
during that run, and then continue on into the future to give us more stories, all about this. This is a self-contained kind of universe. It feels like when Bendis first came back to DC and he was doing all of his little books and like his,
Bendis is coming.
yeah,
Those
like
big
all
old
of
ads, yeah.
his stories and stuff like that, wherever they were housed in. That feels like this, but from a writer who I care about.
Oof, ouch, Bendis slander. Um,
Bendis slander. Oh, just you wait till
yeah, we'll talk about
uh
it in a comic stack. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought this was fun. It wasn't my book of the week, but I thought it was fun. I am excited to see where things go. I'm really happy that Helena Wayne is back as Huntress. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's a great character. Um, I'm curious to see where the time stuff happens. I haven't even finished reading Flashpoint, so like I feel like there's some stuff in there that I might have needed for this,
Yeah.
but I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see these new books that Jeff Johns is tackling in the DC universe again.
I loved the character bios at the end of the book.
For all those new characters, yeah,
Yeah, that was so cool.
they're there.
That's
So Jeff Johns introduces all these characters that apparently were lost to time or whatever, and he makes it pretty much like the old DC encyclopedias.
hmm.
You got like a Red Lantern of the Golden Age. There's some weird stuff in there. Cherry Bomb. There, I feel like a lot of them are gonna be the lost children in the Stargirl book that we're
Yeah,
getting.
yeah.
Um,
13, right?
Something like that. Yeah. There's a good amount. Yeah, I mean, new characters are always nice, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
and a diverse range of characters too, which is something that the JSA, if you're using legacy characters, is hard to hard to do with. So
fair enough. Yeah. I did like that moment where Power Girl walks in. It's like a bunch of old people. Like we're trying to get
love
that
Power
new
Girl.
new generation.
Yeah.
That's really really cool. Very little interaction with her, but I liked her character.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably get more in JSA proper.
Mm-hmm.
Put my cat down
Excited
real
for
quick.
it.
You're on the mouse, dude. Oh, what are you doing?
The
Cats,
the
man, cats.
Legionnaire, is that? Are you familiar with that character?
The one that's blacked out?
Yeah, the one that's been, because that's the guy
No, I
that's
mean,
the red hair has been circling around everybody, right?
no. I think it's a different guy than the one that's blacked out in the back. I
Oh,
don't think we know who that guy is, the red hair guy.
okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
him. All right.
So we'll see. We'll see. There's some interesting things coming up.
A lot of threads being laid down, so happy to see that come to fruition at some point. And this was very close to being my pick of the week if it wasn't for one of the other books.
Okay, is it the next book we're talking about, which is
Let's see, what is it?
Wildcats?
Oh, so
So
close and yet so far.
so speaking of DC returns in a way, we have the newly relaunched Wildcats by Matthew Rosenberg, with art by Steven Segovia, colors by Elmer Santos, and letters by Farron Delgado. Marco, what is your history with Wildcats as a property?
Could have sworn it was our boy Wildcat. Was confused about why there was an
Oh
S there.
yeah, you thought that DC took up one of our pitches that we did?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it did not.
Wildcats was I know is a Jim Lee joint, but beyond that, that's all I know.
Fair. My history of Wildcats is a little murky. Um, it is a Jim Lee joint. It was its own thing, and then it was bought by DC, and then kind of folded into the DC universe.
Hmm.
But for me, it's still always weird seeing them interact with DC characters. So normally, like Deathblow and Zealot and Grifter, just being characters, and then like Nightwing shows up in this, and
Yeah.
Cassie, Cassandra Cain shows up. It's weird. It still feels weird to me that they're just so like part of the DC universe. But I thought this was kind of fun. This is it didn't blow my socks off. I think Warren Ellis did some really crazy stuff when they last relaunched Wildcats in its own universe, in like a Wildstorm universe. I think it was called the Wildstorm. Um, Warren Ellis did some really weird stuff with it that I really enjoyed. This is kind of like a back to basics, more. This is comic booky shit, and
Yeah.
we're gonna just lean into it, um, and have it properly set in the DC universe. You know, they're in Star City now. Like this is where these guys operate. So, um, but I thought it was fun. You know, I thought it was harmless fun.
Yeah, it was definitely enjoyable enough. I think similarly, I wasn't blown away by it. It had good beats. I think it was paced out pretty well.
Yeah,
Nothing about this was egregious by any degree.
great review.
So
Nothing egregious about this book. Nothing
I
offended
mean,
me.
I mean, there wasn't but that's a good thing sometimes. Like
Sure.
it came in, it did what it needed to do to set up our characters, to set up the story. Had some good bits, and it kind of just went in and out. That was it.
A solid first issue.
I
Um,
would say so.
I think so. Rosenberg's been writing Cold Cash Grifter a lot in backups throughout varying books. I think Batman and Detective Comics. He's had backups there, so he's kind of got a knack for this character's voice. When it comes to like the Wildstorm characters, I really like Zealot, so I'm kind of curious to see a little more of
Mm,
Zealot going forward. She's pretty kick ass in this.
she was cool.
But I thought it was fine. It was giving me like Suicide Squad vibes a bit, you know, like comic book Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
With like they have this director who's kind of an asshole, very Amanda Wallery, you know. Um,
the small guy.
yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So Dan said history with Wildcats #1 the day it came out. Read it on and off since, including when Alan Moore wrote it. See, I didn't know Alan Moore wrote it. This is where my knowledge of Wildcats
Whoa.
is blank. And Joe Casey. See, I do like Joe Casey. So a Joe Casey Wildcats is interesting to me. I just like these guys' character designs, honestly. Like
I can see that. Yeah.
they're 90s, but they're kind of modernized here, and they're a little more sleek here. And I think that if it's Steven Segovia who modernized these costumes, I think he did a good job because the essence of who they are is still there. But yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna give this a #2. It didn't blow my pants off, but like I enjoyed it.
I I had some issue with the Segovia art.
Okay.
Um, very digital, I'll say, which isn't inherently a
Mhm.
bad thing, but there are these moments where when you'd have a lot of lights, everything kind of just felt not washed, but actually, yeah, there was like this layer of color, a yellowish hue that just would permeate throughout the characters. It would just kind of bleed onto everything that I didn't necessarily enjoy. I didn't think that that worked well with
I see.
some of the settings. It made it feel very like pop art sometimes.
I feel like if you,
And
if you if you take the lighting off of it, it would be very flat. It's like the lighting is adding depth and almost like a
mm,
3D effect to the art. I didn't
yeah,
mind it. It didn't really. I kind of liked it, especially with the coloring. It helped add a lot to a book that can easily just be some grimdark shit. Where at least it popped for me.
maybe that's what I was expecting. I was expecting a
Sure.
grimdark book, and some of these colors were a lot brighter. The book itself was just brighter than I would have expected. So definitely, I definitely had that moment of just I'm in it for for what I'm being carried along with the art, but I wasn't blown away by it. I had some issue, but specifically on the lighting and colors.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the book, and like most of the book is either in the daytime for the outdoor scenes, in a bar with a lot of neon lights, or in science labs with a lot of fluorescent lights. So it's a very
Yeah.
light lit up book. Which then the last page is very interesting because it ditches all that because they fall into the pit of the Court of Owls, which is about being dark. So maybe that's the whole point. It's
Oh,
like,
is
all
that the
right,
Court of Owls?
I believe so. I believe so
Okay.
because I
All
believe
right.
they were also in some of the stuff that Rosenberg was doing with Cold Cash previously.
Gotcha. Okay. I thought they were still in Star City.
I think they are, and that's the interesting part.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I can't imagine you could put a hooded character with a white mask in DC Comics and it not be the Court of Owls, because if it's anyone else, that's just dumb. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
they've kind of
And
cornered the market on plain white mask and hoods.
fair enough.
But that's a cool. I always like the Court of Owls as like this nebulous antagonist that can kind of work with the underneath the scenes to kind of cause issues.
They're
So yeah,
fun.
I thought it was
They're
fun.
fun.
I will definitely check out issue 2.
Um, Probably not gonna pull the next one.
That's fair.
Think I'm gonna drop it. It
I'm gonna blow my
doesn't,
nose,
it
fam.
didn't light me on fire. It did feel very much like you said, a Suicide Squad book, and because of that, I think I'd rather just read Suicide Squad. Like I'm more familiar with the characters. I have that connection already, so for me, this would be a replacement to that, and I don't necessarily need two of what I feel are exist in the same sort of genre.
Well, hate to break it to you, but there's no current ongoing Suicide Squad book, which is kind of wild.
Well, Wildcats.
Oh, well, there you go. So let's leave DC. You done with the distinguished competition, and
Yes, sir.
let's talk about Fantastic Four #1.
Let's go.
This is
Book of the week.
by Ryan North, Iban Coelho, and let me get colors by Jesus Abertov or Jesus Abertov, however.
No, no, Jesus.
With guess
Jesus.
who the letter is, Marco?
Marco?
No, the letter is Joe
Oh, Clayton
Caramagna.
Cowell. Has to be Clayton
No,
Cowell.
nope, nope. I threw you off. It's Joe Caramagna.
Damn, you got
Yeah,
me.
it's the other one.
Fucking got
Covers
me.
consistently doing covers is Alex Ross too, which is kind of nuts. Especially at the
So good.
after the Fantastic Four full circle book he just did. It's kind of cool seeing him do that.
And he's incorporating the new style that he's been working in of
Yeah,
just like uber bright. I was like,
yeah,
oh, that cover looks sexy.
wacky colors too.
Yeah, yeah, real
So
Jack Kirby.
this was my book of the week.
Same. Yep,
Okay,
same.
I really liked it. I thought it was it is what I want out of a Fantastic Four book. In so much that it's a one and done story with the Fantastic Four. Well, a little addendum there. This is really just a Thing issue. This is essentially a Thing and Alicia Masters one shot
Yeah.
that is leading us into where this book is going. And maybe because of that, that's also why it's I picked the week, because I love the Thing and I love Alicia and I love when they can kind of do their thing. Accidental pun.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think the it reminded me of kind of in a weird way Archie, where you're
Sure.
just you're just talk using these characters to go through something pretty simple. It's a story about them getting basically Groundhog Day
Hmm.
in this sleepy town, and they have to try to figure out who's causing it. They find out it's about a broken heart. Woof, who can relate, and then and then
I thought that would be interesting to when I read that scene of the guy in the bar. I was like, oh, me and Marco want to get this one.
the and then to see him, like, them just talk it out. That's the kind of shit that I look for in superhero comics. Like, yes,
Mm.
you have some of your action packed moments, but they are few and far in between. They're panels here and there. It's usually played for comedy, and the heartfelt moments are when the Thing just has a human conversation. That's how I enjoy my superhero books, and I got that. And I thought this was a great introduction into the series because it's a one-off story. It is not focused on the whole cast. We're slowly getting you introduced to it, and then they throw that page at the end where
Yep.
the Chrysler Building just is blown the fuck up, and there's a crater in New York City. I'm like,
Believe it would have
whoa!
been the Baxter Building location, which is even more interesting.
That's the Chrysler Building, right?
The Chrysler Building might no. This is right near Chrysler Building is no. This is right near Central Park. So this would be where the Baxter Building is, which honestly is probably near where the X-Men have their current location. But
Oh, the tree.
yeah, yeah, because you can see that really ugly, really tall building they have near Central Park now. That's drawn
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that horrible building that nobody lives in and it's just dormant. It's the worst. Um, yeah, no, I really like this. Did you read the backup at all? The back matter?
Oh, I did not. The fan page.
Yeah, so Ryan North kind of talks about his pitch for this book going forward. And he had four main points that he really wants for this book. And the first one is Fantastic Four are fun. So an emphasis on a fun story, and it's not like this dark and gritty or, overly dramatic story. Number two, the Fantastic Four are adventurers. So he wants them exploring the unknown and the impossible.
Hmm.
Number three, the Fantastic Four can do anything. He wanted to recapture the feeling that they had when they were in the '60s, where anything can happen. And number four, that they're accessible, because he wants this to be a book that anyone can just hop into, but also people who have been reading Fantastic Four since the '60s can enjoy it at the same time. And honestly, like those are four tenets that I think are good for Fantastic Four, because I think that's always been an issue with it. It's either people are trying to lean in too far with the huge lore and the cosmology of the Fantastic Four, or becomes slightly impenetrable.
Hmm.
Um, and like I've always just wanted a fun Fantastic Four comic. I think the most recent time I can think of like a fun one, Slot did some good work, but like I think All Reds and Fractions FF, which wasn't even the Reed Sue thing in Human Torch. That was like Ant-Man, She-Hulk, and a whole bunch of stuff.
What?
That's a good book, Marco. It's Ant-Man, She-Hulk, a girl Johnny Storm slept with who woke up and just got one of the Thing costumes, and Medusa from the Inhumans. It's a really good.
What? That's wacky.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's real wacky, and it's like post my kid died Scott Lang, so it's a little depressing.
Whoa.
Um,
Okay.
she's good now. It's comics. It's fine. Um, but no, I had a lot of fun with this Fantastic Four book. I thought Ibn
And
Quello was super solid. It's really cartoony. It's
yeah.
almost chibi in a way, like the way he drew that kid. Like the kid's head is a little big. But I like it. I think it works in a strange way. I think Ibn Quello did. He worked on, I believe, some of the Miles Morales stuff recently, and then that Tom King, not Tom King, Tom Taylor, alternate reality Marvel book. Do you remember what that was called? Dark Ages, right?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yep.
believe he worked on that too, which I liked. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I love a good one and done premise of comics.
Yes.
We don't get them
You
enough
don't
anymore.
see it. Yeah.
That's why I like
You
Ice
don't
Cream
see it a
Man. You
lot,
know what I
man.
mean? Like, or
Oh,
like
that's
Silver
so
Coin.
good.
It also helps when I'm super behind on comics, so like I can just jump in and be like, all right, yeah, I'm good. Comics
Especially
funny.
for those. Those are comics in particular where you gotta like let it sit because it's already an anthology. So like
Sure.
month to month, you're gonna get something different anyway. Why not enjoy that in bulk? I finally caught up on the Silver Coin. Oh, so good.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
But I feel like this
Yeah.
is what that book can be too, and like the end can maybe tie in things, or like there could be an overarching theme, almost like Doctor Who. Do you ever watch Doctor Who?
I've seen episodes.
Yeah. So like you'd have a big bad that would be seeded throughout the episodes, but each episode was its own thing. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having that be I guess, a similar blueprint to this. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. This was really fun.
Yeah. Absolute blast. I don't think I've read anything of North in the past, but he's convinced me with this book that he's a solid writer. He
Yeah.
knows how to set characters up. He knows how to let the art breathe. There are definitely a lot of empty panel moments. Not empty panels, but there are moments where it's a silent panel and it's just in between two layers of dialogue. The Thing and what's her name?
Alicia?
Alicia
Yeah.
are sitting, sipping coffee. They're talking. They respectively take a sip, and it's just silent for that moment. There's another instance of that where they're talking to a group of people. There's like an awkward pause, and they continue the conversation. The kid calls the Thing a monster. Silent moment where
So rude.
Ben is all droopy and sad, and then they have another conversation. Like that is good comic book pacing because you let moments in time linger, and I think he's doing a really good job at that, and it's accentuated by the art.
And he's not doing the thing that I don't really care much that he used to do. He would have like the main character talking to the reader in like
Oh, okay.
text at the bottom of the page. He did it a lot in Squirrel Girl, and I know he did it on Adventure Time when he did Adventure Time. Um, yeah, I thought this was good. It was good stuff.
I'm definitely picking up the next issue on this one.
Cool. Yeah, same. And last book we're talking about this week, but not the last of the series, is Do a Powerbomb #6 by Daniel Warren Johnson with colors by Mike Spicer and letters by Russ Wooten. I could have sworn this was the last issue.
I was convinced.
I think it's, after reading it, I think it's just because of the way the story was paced out, where it's like, oh, we had our last match last issue. Of course, this would be the end, right? No.
Right.
Um,
But wasn't it one of? I could have sworn it was meant to be a 6-issue series.
I thought so too, because I remember previously looking to like see what the next cover would look like and not finding it. So I don't know what solicitations were like or whatever, or maybe this is one of those like surprise drops. I don't know. That's not to say I ain't mad about it. You know, I'm
For
not
sure.
mad to have to get to read more of Do a Powerbomb.
Oh no, we have to read more Danny Warren Johnson.
Yeah, and he even brought in a an actual WWE superstar into this book.
God.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
I
God
don't,
did
I
wrestle
don't,
a match once.
nuh-uh.
Yeah. Yep. It was
Stop.
Vince McMahon versus God, and they used, the way they did God was literally just a spotlight on the mat that would move around. It's the
It,
most wild thing ever. It was kind of him trolling Shawn Michaels, who like came back from injury and it was like born again Christian or whatever. It's weird.
oh
Um,
damn.
but
Okay.
this book kind of leans into some weird stuff, and it gets a little wacky. But I think this is one of the issues where like the actual flashback stuff was the important part. That was kind of the meat of this issue.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Not much really happens in the present day in terms of the actual tournament and stuff. Yeah, we get a little bit of a wrinkle there that will be finalized in the last issue. But this is a real. This kind of really delves into Cobra Sun, the dad, and his headspace throughout everything so far.
Hmm. I was frustrated by the way that the tournament ended. Like the two winners fight to the death and then just kill each other, and then by default they kind of get it. It didn't feel earned. It
Well,
felt
that's
a little
wrestling.
lackluster. It it,
I would
it
argue
felt
that's one of
flat
the
for
most
me.
wrestling parts of it. It's just like,
Is it
oh,
really?
this whole thing we build up to, the rules are thrown out last minute. Here's something else. Here's a little swerve. That
No, is
didn't
it
bother
really?
me. That felt like something that would happen. Well,
I
I'll
don't.
give you an example. They had a ladder match where 8 competitors would fight on a ladder, and whoever can get the briefcase at the top of the ladder wins. And you have
Mhm.
the guy, Mustafa Ali at the time, who was like, oh, he was like the smallest guy, but he was like he was a good baby face. Everyone wanted him to win. And he's up there. He's about to get the briefcase. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits. He's apparently added to the match. He comes in and just wins everything. So, like, that's the kind of shit that happens, you know?
Okay.
So, like, having this happen, I was like, yeah, this feels like wrestling. I get it. That didn't bother me.
It rubbed me the wrong way for the story. I didn't like it. Um, I would have liked to have seen the resolution of that and them have to go through some other ordeal to figure it out. I guess in a roundabout way they are. I just didn't like that it all got swerved.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it either, but I think not liking it is why I liked it, because that's a wrestling thing. Like, I don't like the decisions that wrestling makes in booking a lot of the times, and I'll argue at it. And maybe that's him playing with that here. I can't tell. That'd be very
Yeah.
very meta if he was doing that on purpose, which also I would not put past Danny Warren Johnson.
I mean, they
But
managed to book God, so
well, true. Yeah, God does not. He doesn't show up for cheap. He doesn't show up for a hot dog and handshake.
kissing
But
babies.
that one, I think it's 2 pages, where Cobra Sun does a shooting star press into a DDT. Loved it. That was so good. That just showcases the thing that I really like about this book, is that Danny Warren Johnson's ability to like capture movement in static panels
Yes.
is masterful, in my opinion. He just knows the exact spot to understand like where movement's going.
It's like photography. You
Mm.
can
Yep.
you can do a lot with just taking uh a certain way that a body's facing, or the way that it's moving in time. And I like the way that he adds blur, or
Yep.
not blur, but he adds movement by just, instead of having straight lines, it's like these wiggles all across the outlines of each of the characters, and that's how you show energy being transferred. You show movement and momentum through that, even when the panel prior was fully static, and then the payoff is this like reverberation, and he draws them like incredibly.
Yeah, it's real. It's real good stuff. Um, I am excited to see the possibly last issue next month. Um,
Yeah, we'll see.
but yeah, we'll see where this goes. I mean, again, like this is some good stuff. I love what he's been doing here. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, well, what else you got for me, Dan Warren Johnson? I want to see the next creator-owned book that he does.
I really thought that after is like, all right, I don't have the power to do this. Now we're gonna have to figure out where we go from here. I'm like, oh, cool. Now he's gonna bring us from like these are the locals. Now he's gonna bring us to like a regional tournament or something, or like the
Yeah.
world universe tournament or whatever. And we're gonna get into that next arc. And that's what I thought this was leading up to, because I was convinced this was the last issue. And then we get God, which again a swerve, interesting because I like the design. He looks scary.
I mean, you must be a God-fearing man then, Marco.
Very much so.
I was expecting almost like, oh, it's Hulk Hogan, like what's the name of the book? Hold on, I have it over here. In Murder Falcon, like Dio shows up in that book unexpectedly. I'm like, oh shit, there's an actual character, an actual person here. I was expecting like, oh, is this Macho Man Randy Savage showing up? Is this Hulk Hogan? Is it Sting? Like one of those things. But
Is it Sting?
I bet you God starts doing some stuff like some Hulk Hogan type shit, like a leg drop or something like that. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see what God's moveset is.
God's moveset is all of the finishers, right? He has access to all of them.
Oh, he has all of his stored finishers already. Like he starts off
Yeah,
with multiple finishers.
that's it.
Just RKO out of nowhere. Maybe he drops the big rig FTR's finisher.
Is the People's Elbow a finisher?
It is one of the finishers. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. More of the rock bottom. People's elbow is probably more of a signature move, but
I
I
see.
believe he finished people with the people's elbow. So yeah.
Okay. Excited
Yeah.
for this next issue.
Finale. You know what I'm excited for? For Comics Tag.
Though.
For this is the Comics Tag saga of 2022. You were tasked to read more of Brian Michael Bendis' New Avengers.
I was.
Can you line up where you are in this for me?
So I read through issue 4. That's the last thing that I read through.
Okay.
And so now we are in the Savage World, starting in issue 5,
Sure.
which cool. We get to I know who Sauron is.
Okay.
Got to see
Yep.
him. So I finished the rest of the trade. So issues 5 and 6, and it started to get a little bit more interesting. In all honesty, like I think the way that Spider-Woman in particular, and like Jessica, and the way that she's questioning people and people are questioning her, and there's like almost like a conspiracy kind of being built in the background. I'm like, oh, all right, that is what I'm holding on to more so than action fingers clacking together, which fair enough. For people who like fights, I mean, these are good fights. Not my jam, but I am interested to see how this story is going to progress, knowing that we can't trust everybody at the moment,
Who do you
and that to
trust?
me is interesting.
Leads right into Secret Invasion with who do you trust? Yeah, no, this is fun. Do you have any interest in reading more?
I don't, frankly.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just it's not my cup of tea, man.
You don't like action figures.
No, I like Earl Grey. But yeah, I don't like action figures. I don't like that as the thing to buy me into a book. Like I mentioned in Fantastic Four, for me, those small interactions where superheroes can be personable, where they interact with a just a regular person and they help them, that to me is what a superhero should be doing. Yeah, you're gonna
Sure.
stop a supervillain at some point for sure. That has consequences with regards to the whole of humanity. But on the individual level, like when we read, what is it, Action Comics 1067, one of
You're
the
gonna lose me with trying to figure out what issue is what for Action Comics. We're in four digits. I'm not remembering. Sorry.
but the one in particular where we see Superman come in, swoop in to save a kid that's inside of a car, and it's just like, hey,
Oh yeah.
you're
Uh-huh.
the, like that's the kind of shit that I want to be reading in my superhero comics. And so I can respect anybody who likes this, but it doesn't interest me enough to want to continue to read because it's not pulling at my heartstrings.
It's funny. I feel like this book is MCU before MCU was a thing.
Sure, I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it kind of has the blueprint of what that superhero universe looks like, or what a big team like that looks like.
And I think that's effective. I think it's
Yeah,
absolutely effective. And the team itself is built out really, really cool. You have good personalities. You have uh, character moments as well that help to define the individual people. Like Tony, Tony in anything that I've been reading more recently, I feel like I don't have a firm grasp of who he is. I'm so used to the MCU Tony, and seeing him here, seeing him in some of the other stuff that we've been reading has helped to color a bit more. But he's
sure.
definitely a character that I didn't have as much context into that I'm getting an appreciation for because of this.
He's a lot colder back then than
Yes,
before
calculated.
Robert Downey Jr. Came into to play. Yeah, yeah. Um, no, it's very 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 interesting takes on it. I mean, I would honestly be curious to read it myself because I haven't read it since I liked action figures clashing together. Like
Sure.
I would say my tastes have grown a little beyond that lately. Um, but I would be curious to see what I think about it. You get to tag now. It could be me. It could be Sean. It could be Cal.
It could be. It could be you. Knowing, I mean, who's here? Let's see. Who's left here?
Wait, who's left here?
All right.
I'm
You know
here.
what? I think it's gonna have to be you, Tyler.
Yeah, it's just me.
Um,
What am I
I kind
reading?
of want
What?
to get.
Pick your poison.
I kind of want to give you a manga. Um,
Okay.
and in particular, it is. Let's see. Hold on. I forgot to write it down.
What are you doing to me?
Oh, I am a hero.
Oh, this was on your best of last year.
Yes. No. Was it?
I
Maybe.
believe so.
No. This was my Halloween pick for the book club.
I know I had to. I had to get an image of it. Um, yeah. No, I feel like you've talked about this before at least.
I have. I
Okay.
definitely have. It is
Is it
one of my.
zombies?
It is zombies.
Okay.
Do you fuck with zombies?
I mean, not really. They're probably cold.
I thought you were gonna say I've been known to.
Ooh.
So that is my pick.
Okay.
You don't have to read the whole thing. They
Is
have
it
the
on?
Tonka bonds.
Is it
I
on what you call
think
it?
I think it's on Comixology.
I was thinking Shonen. Uh,
Oh,
Jump.
is it a Shonen?
The what is it?
Might
What
be. It
is
might
it?
be. It's
Is it Shonen
it's
Jump?
published by Dark Horse.
Okay, I'll figure it out. I'll find
Yeah,
it.
and you don't have to read the first like trade or anything. Like maybe like the first two issues.
Manga is like drinking water for me. Like that shit just goes real fast. It's much quicker for me than American comics. So
Then
if I can get through a first volume, that's not a big deal.
okay, and then I will challenge you to the first volume in that case.
Okay, I'm a hero. First volume. Got it. Yep, I can do that. Not a problem.
Yes, I want somebody to read this.
I have to read it backwards though. So
Yeah, from the end to the beginning.
well, let's talk about some pals pulls then. Let's pull our pals.
Ayo.
I want to check out Blade Vampire Nation #1. This is a Blade one shot by Mark Russell. That alone is enough to sell me. I guess it's
Easy.
kind of like really summating where Blade stands in the Marvel Universe right now because he is in kind of a weird place. He's the sheriff of a vampire nation and also an Avenger at the same time. So I think this is kind of getting people up to speed on who he is, where he is, what's going on, and I'm cool with that. Even though I've read all of the previous stuff, but it's Mark Russell too, so why not?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In
And
that
then
case.
Gold Goblin, #1.
Oh, okay. I saw this. All right.
This is a new #1 by Christopher Cantwell and Lam Medina. It is a face turn for Norman Osborn, and this is his superhero persona. But it looks like he's still kind of dealing with, the Green Goblin kind of always in the back of his mind. Where does it go? So yeah, I'll see where this goes. Got a good creative team, and I love Norman Osborn as a character, so I will definitely read more of it.
Who's on this?
Christopher Canwell on writing
That's
duty,
right.
and Lan Medina on art.
Nice. Okay.
And you wanted to check out Peach Momoko's Demon Days Shield of Justice.
Hell yeah! I've been picking
Is
up
this Captain
every
America?
single one of these. It is. It's Captain America. It is the Iron Samurai versus the Shield of Justice, and
Oh, okay.
the these imaginings of these characters from Peach Momoko, phenomenal. Like the designs, the world, the
Yeah.
aesthetic. I've been thoroughly enjoying the Demon Days, which was all the X-Men stuff. Looks like it's turning into some more of the Avengers characters, and so I'm excited to just see how the designs get
Yeah.
introduced and how we're kind of genre bending the Marvel universe. The fact that it's styled to look like and feels like and pace like manga, but these characters is fascinating to me. So I'm super excited for this to come back. My biggest frustration with this series has been the fact that every single issue is a number one, and so you can't actually keep track of what the next issue is because the next one's going to be like Demon Wars, whatever, Iron Samurai, something number one, and then the following one is going to be, the
Oh yeah, they're just one
green.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all one shots, but it tells a continuous story, so you lose track of what is what.
Yeah. No, and then you wanted to check out Voyages #1 by Suni Keegan.
Yep, Sumi Kesgan,
Kesgan?
who
Okay.
is doing the art as well as the writing. This gave me 2011, 2012 image sci-fi vibes, and I haven't
Huh.
felt that in a while. And not like they're putting out another sci-fi book kind of thing, but one of the OG, something like Planetoid or
Oh, okay.
some of the Prophet stuff. Like it had the stylings of it, the colors, the art style, even some of the in the preview pages, the writing. I'm like, oh, okay, I fuck with this,
And
and the
this is a
fact that it's
writer
one
artist
creative.
combo, right? Oh yeah. Yep.
Exactly. And the fact that it's a writer artist combo, same with I think Planetoid was like that as well. Trying to remember Ken Garing on Planetoid. I fell
Okay.
in love with that book. That helped to color what I feel is image number one sci-fi's, and so this smelled just like it, and I had to pick it up.
Definitely looks good by cover alone. That looks like a good cover. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
the
would.
interiors are great.
I'm probably gonna pick this up too. It looks interesting.
Yeah, let's go, Tyler.
But yeah, those are our polls. Little, not really a little shorter show, a little shorter. Um, but Marco and I are gonna go see Wakanda Forever now. So yeah, we gotta
Doses.
watch that now so that we can give you the content as soon as we can.
That's right. We're putting it out tomorrow. No, we're putting it out
No,
Saturday.
not that soon. Sorry. No, no. We
Sorry.
got we keep our Fridays free here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Free, yeah, free the Nip
Free for
Fridays.
Marco to make some interesting decisions with life.
Excuse me.
Oh, yep. Yep. Same though. Not really. No, not the same. But yeah, Marco. I guess I should plug the show. You could follow us at all the things up in that corner if you're watching it live. So that's Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Patreon, all those things. Everything is the Comics Pals. So find us where you want to find us. We'll see you on Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Both YouTube and Twitch will be live doing our normal show. I have no idea what we're talking about this week. So I feel like it's been a light week in terms of news. But we'll see.
Yeah, not a lot's been going on.
Sean always pulls something out of his ass. So
Always.
he's got a lot
Beautiful
up there.
black ass.
Um, let's just end the show there.